Greetings, beings. It is I, Elizabeth of Lore, and today I am transmitting from my interdimensional spaceship of creativity and breaking free from the simulation. And I'm here today to speak with you as the Kale Shaman and humble almighty leader of the Kale cult. And I have my interdimensional cat counterpart here, who's also a Kale Shaman, as you can see right here. We've got some feminine power from Space Mom as well. So, he's here to remind us about the kale, as am I. Now, if you don't know what Kale Shamanism is or what the Kale cult is all about, I have some other content that I will link that will tell you a bit more. But essentially, the one and only rule of the Kale cult is do whatever the fuck you want, because everything is an illusion, a game, something we're doing for fun, and we have control over that game. So, what I want to talk about today is the state of divisiveness that many of us have been finding ourselves in currently in this dimension. Right? So there's been an energy of conflict going around. Have you noticed? Not only in the larger world and wars and political disputes, but also in our smaller social circles and our interpersonal relationships, people just grabbing each other by the metaphorical throat and just fighting, not even hearing each other, just really wanting to fight. It's almost as though people don't even really care about what they're saying. They just want to fight someone else. So they're choosing to engage in these extremely aggressive ways and just engaging in all of these conflicts all over the place. I've even been seeing people doing this in chats for party groups, like group chats for parties, where everyone's just supposed to be partying and sharing about parties. They're like getting in fights. One of them had to get shut down. It's just ridiculous, right? It's ridiculous. However, we're here. We're in this dimensional conflict. I'm here, you're here, and that means we are choosing it. Whether or not you're directly engaging in the conflict, you're choosing to be in a dimension where conflict is going on. Now I know that because we're here. And if we're here, we're choosing it. That's how this game works. So, if we want to get out of the dimension of conflict, we don't scream at others. We don't engage in their conflict with them. We heal ourselves inwardly and we vibrate out of this dimension. This conflict dimension, it exists no matter what. Whether or not you're here is your choice, and you can vibrate yourself out of it. That is the way to move in this game, is to change your energy. Now, that might be frustrating to hear if you're someone who's been doing a lot of work on your energy, who's been doing a lot of healing and spiritual work, and who doesn't really understand exactly how you got into this space, this dimension of conflict. So I'm going to identify 3 main reasons why you might be unknowingly vibrating in this dimension of conflict, and then what you can do about it. So, first, you might be holding trauma in your spiritual or physical energy body. Now, sometimes trauma is very easy to identify. Sometimes you could get abused or experience a very severe accident or something that is just, you remember it, you think about it, you're like, that was traumatic. But sometimes trauma in the energetic sense can be something that we don't socially identify as traumatic. It could be something a little more everyday, like a disappointment, a breakup, grief over someone passing away, or any number of things that can happen fairly regularly, but are still energetically traumatic and need to be moved out of the body, right? So it's actually very normal to go through life and to pick up trauma energy. Where it becomes problematic, where it can develop into something that can hold us down in a dimension we may not want to be in, and that can affect our daily life, is when we don't move that energy out of our system. So there are great ways to do this. We can do it through yoga. Even Western medicine acknowledges this now, that trauma gets stored in the body and can be moved out through yoga. We can do it through dancing. We can do it through breath work. We can do it with the help of medicines like rapé or kambo or ayahuasca. Anything that helps purge and clear the energy. We can use sage to help clear our energy, although I found that that isn't necessarily as effective for getting trauma, really heavy trauma energy out. Sometimes that does require something that's like a little more forceful. You can shake the kale around, shake. There are a lot of ways to move energy, trauma energy out of your body, and that's important to do. Now, some ways to identify if you have trauma energy in your body, especially if you can't identify a significant event that you consider to be traumatic, is to look at the symptoms. So energetically, some of the symptoms of trauma energy are feeling like locked up. So your body could feel tight and sore and locked up, like you need to stretch, which could really truly be your body signaling to do yoga, because that does actually move the trauma energy out. It can also feel more energetically locked up, like you start having symptoms of executive dysfunction, where you may be sitting on the couch and thinking about doing what would normally be a very simple task, like making a phone call or washing the dishes, and you find yourself unable to move. Even if you're eventually able to do the thing, it takes you an unusual amount of time to get yourself moving and up to do it. So that is executive dysfunction, and that is a symptom of trauma energy being held in your body. Another symptom is feeling like your chakra points, especially often your throat chakra, are getting tight. So you might start feeling closed towards others. If your heart chakra is being affected, you might find that it's very hard for you to verbalize your thoughts and feelings, and that when you are able to, it kind of comes out not how you want it to, or in this little like timid way, timid voice, timid mannerisms. You're not able to fully express yourself. You might feel like your third eye is getting hazy, right? So different symptoms of your chakra points getting blocked off, because trauma energy can do that. So those are some of the symptoms of holding trauma in your energy body. You also might be like more jumpy, and you might feel a little more on edge or more prone to conflict, right? Because this is one of the things that is holding you in a dimension of conflict, and it can actually attract you towards conflict. So that's one reason why you may be in this dimension of conflict, even though you don't want to be. It may be that you need to move some trauma energy out of your body. Another reason is that you might actually like it. Now, hear me out. I don't mean that your higher self likes conflict. I don't mean even that your main conscious egoic self likes conflict. However, there may be a part of you that does enjoy it on some level. And to be honest, I think most of us experience this. I know I do. It's why we prefer to watch movies and books that have conflict, why we like dramatic scenes, why some of us enjoy gossip, right? Because there is a part of us that likes conflict. It's more interesting. Having no conflict at all can be boring. So there may be a part of you that enjoys conflict. And if you are not healing that part of you, if you're feeding it or even just ignoring it, if you're ignoring it, you're probably unwittingly feeding it on some level, then you're going to continue to vibrate in this dimension of conflict. And so even if you aren't seeing interpersonal conflicts in your own life, you're going to be seeing a world around you with a lot of conflicts. And finally, the third reason I'm going to name that you might be vibrating in the dimension of conflict is that you're a healer. If you are strongly attached to the idea of yourself as a healer, if you find a large amount of your self-worth rests on your ability to help others, if you feel very, very proud and attached to the concept of you as a savior or a hero or a healer or someone who's going to do these amazing things to help others, or who is doing these amazing things to help others, then you're going to have to continue to stay in a state of conflict, because your healing is only needed where there is conflict, where there is pain and suffering. So if you're very attached to being a healer, then you are actually perpetuating and engaging in the conflict energy, and that is why you're vibrating in the dimension of conflict. Now, I know that's hard to hear, because you can say, well, I'm doing healing work. I'm helping. I'm not part of the conflict. I'm helping. But you're reliant on the conflict. And so a part of you is keeping you here. Now, I'm not saying stop healing or helping, but take a step back, meditate, and find a space of detachment from the idea of yourself as a healer. When you can put yourself in a state where you are truly, genuinely, not just verbally, but truly, genuinely happy and okay with nobody ever needing your healing services ever again, that's when you can vibrate out of the dimension of conflict. Until then, there will always be conflict. Now, it might not be as intense as what's going on in this dimension right now, but that is ultimately what you'll need to do if you want to get out of that dimension. You have to let go of yourself as a healer, as a helper. Because in the dimension of harmony and unity and creativity, where no one is on survival mode, we don't need healers. We're already healed. So, you've got two options. You can examine why you might be in the dimension of conflict and take the necessary steps to change your energy and move yourself out of that dimension. I guarantee you it will work. You will start to see the world around you become less conflicted. There will be less divisiveness as you do this internal healing work, because you will be moving out of this dimension. Here's the other option. Maybe you like it here. Maybe you're going to choose to stay. And that's okay. Really. You might say, no, I'm hurting people. I'm contributing to suffering. You're not. This dimension exists regardless of what you do. It's whether or not you're in it, whether or not you're consciously experiencing it or consciously experiencing something else. That's what you can change. You can't change what's happening in this dimension. It's going to be happening no matter what. So if you want to be here in this dimension, if you want to be in a dimension of even more conflict, you can put yourself there. If that's what you want, then own it. Say, you know what? It's fun for me. I like saving everyone. I want to be the savior. Or this drama, all this conflict, all this infighting and yelling, it's a lot of fun. It's interesting. It gives me a thrill, and it makes life more fun, more interesting. Okay, that's valid. Own it. Own it. Have fun with your experience. That's the Kale of it all. Or if you're like, you know what? I want to be in creative mode. I don't want to deal with this conflict. I just want to do art and make stuff and party, and that's it. And go there. Do the work to vibrate yourself out. Move the trauma energy out. Work on your shadow work and understanding yourself better so that you can see where you are attached to conflict and how you can release it. Take the actions of creativity that will put you into the vibration you want to be in. But just own it. And you know what? You can always change your mind. If you're like, you know what? I'm enjoying this conflict right now. I'm going to do this. But then you get bored of it and you're like, oh, I'm tired of everyone fighting. Now I want to go to creative mode. You can do it at any time. It's all Kale. That's the secret. You choose where you are. But make it a conscious choice. Don't make it something that you're being dragged about by energies that have stuck to you or subconscious stuff that you haven't dealt with. Make it a conscious choice. You want to be in a dimension of conflict, choose it consciously until you no longer do. You don't want to be here, take the actions needed to get out. You have that power. You decide where you are. It's your reality. It's your game. All right. That's the message. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, it's all Kale.